and welcome to another Biddle on Saturday, July 25th, 2020. How's everybody doing?
Doing well.
Good.
Really well.
We are
Good.
officially open for business, thanks to Tony for reminding me, because otherwise probably wouldn't have happened. But yeah, so we have been not testing any distros out, like officially for Biddle. Like I've been testing one out, but that's not for Biddle. So we have nothing to talk about this hour. So it's probably going to be a lot of dead silence and.
Wait, that's illegal.
We'll just stare at each other for a little while. Yeah.
I guess 1 hour silence.
I do have
Sounds good.
about, but I'm a little skeptical of talking about it just because community, and I'm not sure what people will exactly think about it.
What's that, Joshua?
You really want to do it?
I don't know what you're talking about. I can't read minds, but
Dan, do you want to? The blog post today. Do you want to do it?
That's your prerogative.
What?
Whatever you say. Okay, for Mr. Lonely, I'll explain what's been going on for me and UCR, everyone's favorite, totally overloved project. So, I'm just going to try to keep things simple. So,
Please.
Today I released a blog post on the Ubuntu Cinnamon website about the future of our development. And it's pretty hard to say this, but I'm actually, just because of the way how I have to end up trying to get Ubuntu Cinnamon into flavor status, I'm going to have to stop having third-party packages be introduced into UCR. So packages like the Cinnamon layout stuff are probably going to have to be removed now. And I've kind of been a little upset about it, but if it's the easiest way to just get us to a flavor status, then that'll make me happy.
So Joshua, try to fill in some blanks for me. You said you're stopping. I read the blog post, but you said you're stopping, adding any apps, and you're working on flavor status, but exactly why is that?
So actually, I will admit I can be a perfectionist. I definitely am. But the thing is, although flavor status is nice because it's a nice break, you don't have to worry about any canonical regulations or anything, it's still a little bit annoying. There's a part where sometimes it'll be very nice to be a remix, but eventually it gets a little old. So that's the problem. And my personal goal is to have 2 releases of remix status. So that way we'll have been a year, and that should be enough time to get the cycle working. And my goal is 2021 is the year. But now I've actually seen a lot more stuff, and things have actually now changed. As I said, I'm not going to go into any specific details just to make things simplified easier for you and everyone, and so everything is calm and that we don't cause any arguments or whatnot. But so yeah.
I like easy and simple and calm. So there.
Simple is good.
But I do see a stray Simon Quigley in the bottom right. Did you fix Pulse Audio, Simon? I mean, is that what you're back?
I haven't quite fixed it yet. I knew that was the first question that
because you're underpaid.
What's up, brother? How you been? It's been a crazy time. Definitely has been crazy. So I was waiting for some food. I was just working on stuff. So I might as well hop on and see how you guys are doing.
Well, we are doing excellent, brother. We have missed you being here. Just saying.
Yeah, I know. It has definitely been a couple of months.
Yep. Well, you're welcome to jump in anytime, brother. Farron, go ahead.
All right, sounds good.
So, I do actually have some really good news to share. On July the 29th, Farron OS is celebrating its 5th birthday.
That is awesome.
Mazel tov.
Bravo. That's a lot of hard work.
Yep, that is.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, expect a bunch of announcements on the website and a video to drop, so celebrating the birthday on the day.
Nice. So we can expect like a birthday wallpaper or something, right?
Yep. Something along the lines of that. But yeah. I won't lie, it feels like these 5 years have gone oddly fast though.
Well,
Yep.
I don't know how time flies, when you're not having fun, but it does fly when you're having fun. So it must be a lot of fun for you. Otherwise, it'd be a lot of work.
Sure is.
All right. Anybody else want to throw in something before we do have the app list that we're going to go through? But I don't know if we want to jump right into that. You guys have something you want to talk about? Something you've been doing this week? Anything?
Yeah, I've been messing around with Blender Flatpak. My Blender has gone kapow on Arch Linux.
Why?
Uh-oh.
Because
What did you do to it, Colin?
All I did was Pac-Man SYU. That's all I did.
That's all it
That's
takes.
your problem. I don't know why you would do something ridiculous like that.
You tried to update. Yep.
Yeah, that's all I did. I can't say anything else. But yes, for some reason, there's must be a Python. I think what Serge was saying, it's a segmentation fault. It must be a Python error or something like that. So I've led myself into the Flatpak and installed Flatpak, but I can make videos now, but I'm still having a few issues. So I've just made a video this morning about downgrading Flatpak. So I want to take myself back to a couple of versions to see whether that version is back to what it was back early this year. So that one was in November 2019. So I've made a video on how to downgrade your Flatpak version. So I didn't know you could do that, but I've worked it out. And I'm hoping to do something with that today or tomorrow or something like that. So, yeah, it's just crashing. Just adding anything to the timeline, clicking on the timeline, doing anything in the timeline just crashes. So Blender's no, it's not. So
That's
Blender's
I'm sorry, Colin, but that's very frustrating when you're trying to edit a video and you're trying to get something done and it consistently crashes like that.
Yeah. So, and the recent video I just made during the week was the downsides of Arch Linux is that, but the upside is Flatpaks and snaps, I suppose you could throw into the ring, is a lifesaver when it comes to things like this, because I can actually have a contained version with all the correct dependencies that makes it run correctly and get me out of trouble. So I've found a real life-saving skill in installing a Flatpak to get me out of some sort of trouble for now. So they do come in handy, I must say.
Nice. Well, Vince, you made a video this week. You've been making a couple videos.
Hey, Rocco.
What's going on?
Yeah, I did a little one on how users can get a bit of help in Linux. Thought I'd put together a little bit of just consolidated knowledge that I've accumulated over a couple of years. Hope it helps a little bit with someone.
There was a lot of good info in there, man. A lot of good info.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, I bookmarked that one in my browser. I was really impressed with it.
Cheers, Dan.
All right, we got Adam Grubbs in the house. What's happening?
Not much. How's it going?
Oh, we're here talking about Biddle.
I just showed up and there's all these people. I don't know what's going on, man. So last weekend I actually purchased a new GPU, right?
Yep.
I've had the whole week to have fun and play and test with it. I gotta say, AMD is not that bad. Like, it's improved significantly since the last time I tried to use one. And there's a lot of benefits to running AMD versus the NVIDIA, in the sense that there's a lot of really cool stuff that Valve and Collabora and a bunch of other folks have been working on. So like the ACO shader compiler, which when you're playing a direct at like a Vulkan game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Usually the DXVK, they have to build the shaders as you're playing the game. Well, with the ACO shader compiler, the stuttering and stuff that you get from that is very small and sometimes not even there at all, which is kind of nice, because before you would have to, like, if you wanted to jump in a game, you'd have to kind of like deal with the stutters and the lag until it finally compiled everything.
Mhm.
But with this, I don't really see that problem at all, and that's been helpful.
Now,
The Mesa improvements are amazing as well. I actually get much smoother performance on here than I did on my NVIDIA card, and I don't know. That's kind of impressive to me. The Mesa guys have done a spectacular job on their drivers.
May I ask which GPU it was?
5700 XT.
XT. Okay.
now, did you have to do anything special, like because it was a newer AMD card?
Not at all. It works on 2004, Fedora, Arch. Works on pretty much anything recent.
And what NVIDIA card would it compare to as far as performance? Like what level?
Most of the time, probably around a 2070 Super.
That's actually pretty good.
Some games
Yeah, it is.
actually, some games it'll perform up to like 2080 levels. So just depends on the game. Some games it runs really well. Some games it runs pretty good. But
The specs on the card look pretty good.
Yep.
yeah, it's not a slouch. Now the one big complaint I have compared to my NVIDIA card was, man, that hardware accelerated like video encoding is garbage on AMD. Like it's really bad. Like I thought the NVENC on my 10 series card was bad. No, that VCE is really bad. But under Windows, it's not that bad. But under Linux, it's awful. Like it is a macro blocky mess.
Now, is that just because it's not optimized, or is
No,
it just
it's
that
really
bad?
so they put all their eggs in the HEVC basket or the H265 basket, thinking that would be the way to go. So if you're using the encoder for HEVC stuff, it's really great. But if you're live streaming or something, you're using H264. That's just what everyone
yep.
uses. And that's the one that's garbage. The HEVC one looks great. But
Right.
it's kind of a bad bet they made, because all the other places are moving to either VP9 or AV1 later on, and it's like, well, you tried. But that's the only downside that I've really encountered is that. And the FreeSync works great. Actually, in Linux, I have two monitors that are both FreeSync monitors, and you can't get FreeSync working with multiple monitors on Xorg. It's just not going to happen. But I was using Sway, which is a Wayland version of i3 basically, and they actually have adaptive sync built in to their compositor. So you can have multiple monitors using FreeSync under Sway, which was really awesome.
Nice.
And I think the GNOME guys are working on bringing that to their Wayland compositor as well.
All right. Joe is in the house. Hasn't been here for a while. What's up, Joe?
Oh, life as you know it. Just summer catching up, that kind of thing. Even though we're in an odd time, I have to say I'm glad to be back, but I'm getting a little bummed looking at Vince and Colin there, because I know what's coming in the next couple 3 months here. So that doesn't help. But no, I just going through life, man. How you been doing? Been a while. I've been wondering how you're feeling and all that.
I am making it, brother. I am almost back to 100%, and we're good to go.
Good deal. Good deal. I've missed you guys. I really have. I've been kind of peeking in when I can, but tonight was a good night. The grandkids are off by their other grandmother's house tonight, so I don't think we'll have any crash-ins here like we do. So, but that's a good thing. And our newest guy he's doing really well too. He's 4 months now and
wow,
doing terrific. So
that's good.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, Big Pod, you've had your hand up for a while now, brother.
Well, this week was quite a thing for me. I did a bunch of stuff with snaps, and quite a deep dive into them, and every time I look into them, I am more impressed with what Canonical did with them and how they managed to secure them, how they managed to do everything. It is quite impressive, and how tight a leash they hold on the security part of it. It is quite hard to get a false positive or a false snap through their system, especially when it comes to something like has access to different parts of the system they don't need. And I was actually doing that because I was updating duplisig. Snap to be even better now.
Very
So
nice.
now that is getting better, and also what I was looking at was in general building packages. Been learning that for a while now, and just compiling that knowledge into one place. That's been like my week. And also I made a video actually which was released the last BDLL show. And next one is coming probably in less than 24 hours.
All right, Eric, you had something you want to bring up?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that we mentioned it on here before, but Ubuntu Studio for 2010 is switching over to Plasma. And I've just been checking in on the daily builds just to see how it's going. And it's pretty impressive. I'm not a huge fan of XFCE, and so that was always like a challenge for me to use Ubuntu Studio. And so them switching to Plasma is just, I mean, obviously to me, I think it's a good decision, but what they've been doing in terms of like the theming and the tool set and just how it's all sort of cohesive, and it's actually really impressive. And I'm wondering now if, because I would have run Kubuntu before, if Ubuntu Studio is now a better choice because it already has all the tool set and the Jack and all the video stuff and everything's already there. Ubuntu Studio didn't get a lot of love for a while, and it seems like they're really back with a purpose now. So it's early, maybe not the best time for everybody to be testing, but I've been playing around with it and haven't seen any major issues. But I just thought I'd throw out there that if folks want to check that out, seems like it's stable enough to at least play around with. And if you did find anything, it's probably good to get that feedback to them.
So,
Go ahead, Joshua.
Okay. So the goal of switching to Plasma was actually a movement as part of Ubuntu Studio to try to make it where, because Ubuntu Studio is used for many purposes, it can be used for graphics design, it can be used for music making, it can be used for a lot. So it comes with the choice of choose what DE you want. And Plasma was obviously choice by default. But yeah, they have been working hard. They now mirror the Calamari settings with Ubuntu, which is pretty cool. And they are really getting things done. And if you actually are going to test, if you do want to test, actually the 20.04.1 point release is actually going to be released in 2 weeks-ish. So just head over to iso.qa.ubuntu.com, look for Focal 20.04.1 and go ahead. Except I think that's XFC, but yeah.
Well, I think switching to Plasma is a great choice.
Go ahead.
Simon, go ahead. I got all night, brother.
Yeah, so one point that I really wanted to add. What's up?
Do
Can
it.
you hear me?
Yep. You just got a little delay, brother. That's
okay. All right. Okay. So with the Ubuntu Studio switch to Calamares, they've been really nice to work with, I'd say. Eric has definitely put a lot of work into Studio, and he submitted a very large pull request to our Calamari settings, and he's been really great to work with. So I think that from our perspective, at least from Ubuntu's perspective, it's been great to see that switch to Plasma. Now with Kubuntu switching to Calamares, which is at some point might happen. Rick Mills from the Kubuntu team has sort of been a little bit reserved on that as of quite yet, and I don't blame him. He always takes a little bit more of a more perspective of looking at it and testing it, making sure it's ready for users before he actually makes a jump in. I don't blame him, like I said. So Ubuntu Studio and Ubuntu are two flavors on Calamares right now, but Kubuntu is looking to switch in the future.
Nice. Well, I think it's a great choice to have them switch over to Plasma. But Eric, I got to ask you, like, I know that you go in, you kind of like me, where you go in like time frames where you're on Plasma and you love it, and there's times where you're like into GNOME a little bit more. Where are you at right now?
It's funny because I've been really hooked on GNOME for probably 6 months now. And last week, for no good reason, I just got an itch to go back and try Plasma again, just to see what 5.19 was about. And looking forward to 5.20. And that's the thing about Plasma. I mean, they're moving. They're always doing something. And so if you stay away for 6 months, there's actually stuff to check out. So Plasma is great. I think a lot of distros ship a very similar sort of vanilla Plasma, right? Breeze, and maybe some customization, but for the most part, it's just pretty straightforward. So it's kind of interesting to see them change the theme, change the position of the panel, little things, right? But it kind of gives it a different flavor. It gives it a little bit of their own touch on it. In that same vein, I took a look at Nitrix again, because they do the same thing. They make some pretty radical changes to Plasma. Farron's here. That's another good example. So KDE is pretty impressive in terms of how you can change it and do different things with it. And yeah, I still cannot explain why GNOME really just pulled me in. And I'm still on, I'm on right now I'm on GNOME, but I'm dual booting with Plasma and just sort of going back and forth. And GNOME has its strengths, and I think it's really great to be keyboard driven. I've been doing a lot of work recently, coding and stuff like that, and it's very efficient for me to use. But Plasma has some real strengths with, the way that it handles, desktops and Windows and different things that GNOME doesn't even come close to. So it's another wonderful example of the choice that I have in Linux, where, if I was using some other operating system and I just decided I didn't like it, I was bored with it, I'd be very limited in terms of what I could do to alter that. And so for whatever reason last week, I said, let's give it a try again. And it was as easy as just, dual booting another distro. So,
well, dude, it's always been that way with me, where always loved Plasma, always loved what it stood for, all the new things they were working on. But GNOME has that ability to just not have them oddities that Plasma has.
Yeah.
So, there'll be times
the paper
where,
cuts.
Yeah, the little paper cuts, like the window will just automatically go over there for no apparent reason. And it may have something to do with the NVIDIA card drivers or whatever, but there's always those little oddities that go along with Plasma. And that's why, in my opinion, GNOME seems to pull me in, because I love Plasma, but it's just oh my gosh, so.
Yeah, you've been using POP, right?
Yep, since last April, so, a year.
And you get used to it, and you just sort of once you learn the keyboard shortcuts, and you just sort of wrap your mind around the fact that and I use virtual desktops a lot, and I just think that GNOME handles it so much better in terms of it's just going to spawn them as I need them. I just keep paging down. If I need another one, just page down. And the fact that most Plasma distros don't even have a virtual desktops enabled kind of baffles me. So that, it's that old argument of KDE is very powerful, Plasma is very powerful, and there's lots of things you can do with it. But I guess what I'm saying is it's interesting to see how Ubuntu Studio and Nitrix and Farron and other people take it and then actually apply all that customization and make it into something really interesting. So,
yep. Well, DJ, you made a couple of videos this week. Seen Firecracker Linux. And I never heard of that before. And Parrot OS. So, what did you think of them?
Well, I also made one on Stratus, which is a new file system as well. I've been really spending more time with that. I am working with Firecracker a little bit, but Stratus is a file system that has the same kind of capabilities as ZFS and ButterFS, but not the complications in setting it up. It's much easier to set up and get running. So it's kind of for us, right? It's kind of a file system for us. And it just reached stability, I think, back in June. They just got their first stable release of it out. It's currently running on Arch and Red Hat and also Fedora. I don't know when it'll show up on Ubuntu and Debian. They typically take a more pragmatic approach. I know you guys look for things being stable first before you introduce them into your distros, but
especially in a file system.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not production ready. I mean, I haven't blown it up yet, but I'm trying. I'm trying really hard to blow it up.
Nice.
And Firecracker, that is a replacement for QEMU.
Oh,
And
okay.
that was written by Amazon in order. The problem with virtual machines is that you can't put as many on a server as we would like to be able to put on them. It's not really for home use, it's more for enterprise. But a typical server or a VM server today, you might get 18 to 36 VMs on one per core. But with Firecracker, you can stack up to 1,000 per core, and they launch really fast. So I've been playing around with that a little bit to work with that. So it's kind of like Docker a little bit, but it has a VM component in front of it, so you get a little bit extra protection with it. It's a very, very small VM, about 6 MB in size. It's very, very tiny. That's been kind of fun. And then, of course, Parrot OS Home, played around with that a bit. That's pretty nice. I just don't know. It's a rolling release. For what I do, I prefer, like you guys do, the more stable releases where you have a formal release model that's a little bit, you're not worrying about, did I update this week? Am I gonna have a problem with it blowing up if I miss a week? But it is nice. I mean, it is fast, and it is very lightweight. I mean, I have to admit, it is pretty impressive from that standpoint.
Fill me in. I know I read before, but
Parrot, there's two flavors of Parrot. There's the security version, which is used by pen testers, which has the utilities that you need in order to see how secure a system is. But Home is really meant to be a daily driver. So it takes out the pen tools, and it just creates a lightweight distribution that has KDE and Mate. They say that XFCE is in there, but I couldn't find it. So it's something they're probably
somewhere.
planning. It's probably something they're planning. They have it in the one of the weirdest things I've ever seen. Put it in the documentation first before the software has it. I've never seen that before in my entire life. You always document last, right?
Yep.
But yeah, that's what I've been up to. Oh, and I broke a laptop. So
what'd you do?
My cantankerous laptop finally fried. I think one of the cooling fans died, and I had been in the other room, and I came back, and the thing was so hot the plastic was melting.
Ooh,
nice.
That's fantastic.
That's one way to go.
Yeah, it's time to get a new one.
Simon, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I had pressed the button. I don't know why I pressed the button. So
okay,
it's now.
It worked.
It does work. You raise and lower the hand. Yep.
Yeah,
work.
it did work. I was just playing around with the Zoom features a little bit.
Gotcha.
Steve Mo West, you got your hand up, brother.
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of follow up on what DJ did. He melted a laptop. I saved a laptop this week, so that was pretty exciting.
What did you do?
Well, I completely disassembled an old HP DV4 and took it all the way. I had to take every screw out of it to get the cooling pipes off and clean the fan. Cleaned it all up, put new thermal paste on. This is only the second time I've ever attempted to do that with a laptop, and I was so excited that when I put all the screws back together, I still had all the screws in. I didn't miss one, and it actually booted up after I did that. I was running MX on that one, and it was running around 62 degrees Celsius regularly. And I was, and I got it down to 50 regularly, 50 degrees Celsius. So it dropped like 12 degrees Celsius by cleaning it up and putting some new thermal paste on. So that's pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah. Must be the week for laptops dying, because my work laptop died this week. It was in the middle of working, and it just shut off and fried. No reason.
Wow.
Brand new laptop. I don't get it. They had to send me a new one, and it doesn't power on. It doesn't show a power light when you put the charger in or any of that. It just randomly shut off in the middle of a phone call when I was fixing somebody's computer for him, and that was it.
That sounds like a motherboard failure.
Yeah.
I have a feeling it had something. It might have something to do with with the docking station. I think the docking station might have done something to it because I had, as soon as I got the new laptop that they sent me and I plugged it in there, and the one of the monitors wasn't working because I have it set up over here on a dual monitor setup with the docking station, and I had to switch out a cable. As soon as I switched out the cable, it worked. So something might have sent something down through the cable or something to the docking station, fried. So I don't know what happened, but either way, it's more than likely either battery or motherboard, one of the two. So it's fried either way, and I got to send it back.
I wanted
Sorry,
to
man.
say, I'm sorry to jump in.
No, go ahead.
Keep it techie. I am so
Yes.
glad to see you
Me
here.
too.
I've been. I actually, I think I may have left you a comment on one of your videos to come and check us out, because I've been watching your content for months now, here on YouTube and LBRY, and I was like, this guy's got to get on Biddle. So thanks for joining, man.
Oh man, I'm happy to be here. Happy to be here.
Yep. You've been doing a lot of interviews lately, dude.
Yeah. I figured I would hop into the whole streaming thing because I'm not that great with live content, to be honest. I guess I have that. I'm not a public speaker, let me say that, and I'm always get the nervous, you know.
I don't
like
think
I am
any
right
of us.
now.
I don't think any of us are good at live content, dude.
We're no professionals here. Nope, no professionals here.
It takes a while.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm. That's why I said, well, let me just go on and hop on, man, because I started that. I mean, it's almost like practice, and I've been interviewing, people to try to help them get into the IT field, because I've been working in the IT field for over 10 years. I've worked as a systems administrator, network administrator, currently working as a database administrator, but it's just a way to bring more people into the group. And since I had, I'm starting to get, like, I guess a following, I figured that would be another thing I could bring to the table to try to help people. So
That's why I've been enjoying your videos, because you have like a nice mix of everything, right? You've got the sysadmin stuff with the command line and all that, and then you got the, just regular distro stuff, and I mean, you're just well rounded, right? You got a lot of stuff going on. So I'm glad to hear that you're getting a little more of a following, and yeah, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, thank you.
And I think the biggest thing I like about your videos, dude, is they're easy to follow. And that's a credit to you for making them that way. But I did put a link in YouTube chat for your channel, and I suggest everybody go subscribe.
Oh, thank you.
That was kind of funny because somebody else had mentioned his channel earlier in the YouTube chat, and I had literally just clicked the subscribe button to check out his videos later, and he popped into Biddle.
Perfect. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, well, I try to. Well, it started. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go right ahead, dude.
No, I was just gonna say, yeah, I started out by, like, I've been using Linux for a long time, and I remember how tough it was when I was first trying to learn it, and so that's why I started with a lot of very basic command videos, so just to try to help people that probably going through the same thing I did when I first started. So that's all I was gonna say.
Yeah, it's just, I think it's awesome when you find people in whatever area they're focusing on, whether it's the desktop or whether it's sysadmin stuff, when you find somebody that can actually take you through and walk you through and make it simple where anybody can follow it. I love that. So, yep, definitely. Well, you are welcome to join in the conversation. Just butt in whenever you want to, because that's what everybody else does. And, welcome back anytime as well.
Okay, thank you.
Tony, sir, you've had your hand up for a while, brother.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I've enjoyed having a break from distro hopping, and I've been on Linux Mint 20 Cinnamon for 6 weeks now.
Wow.
What?
Wow, how's it working out?
This is not Tony.
Record.
This is not Tony.
Tell us about
All
it.
right, where's Tony and what have you done with him?
6 weeks of yes, it's installed. Can't do that anymore, huh?
No, not at the moment. The thing is, the weather is really hot here at the moment, so spending time in the office is like uncomfortable anyway. But I just found Linux Mint works fine. I don't have any niggly faults with it at all. Everything I want to use works. Everything I wanted to change and alter and get the way I wanted has worked out. I don't have any distorted icons, nothing out of place. And I'm frightened to try something else because I know there's going to be something wrong and I'll end up having to reinstall and set it all up again. So I've resisted the temptation and just stayed with it.
Get rid of the green too, Tony.
Yeah, no green.
Yeah,
They
we know you're
actually
not a
make that
green
really
fan.
easy now. You just
they make
you,
that.
You click a button in the welcome screen when you boot it up, and you have any color you want. Just about.
It's great.
They got a pile of them.
And I use Spotify, and that's a green icon, but you can change the icon. So I changed the icon, so I don't even have that green.
Don't
Just
feel
thought
bad,
I'd
Tony.
mention it.
All mine are orange. I went to Ubuntu Orange on Mint just to.
That's what I
cool.
use. Orange.
I'd rather have orange than green any day, so that's fine.
I kind of like the blue. The blue is nice.
Yeah, I'm mainly into blue. Yeah.
Anyone else who are partial to red?
No.
I'm
I have
using
red on the
purple.
other.
Okay,
Red screams danger. that's
Green,
all.
green is great. Green
well, the
is
thing
just
is
great.
that all the
Yeah,
cheap like LED lighted peripherals are only in red, so maybe I
Huh.
just kind of defaulted to that.
Yeah.
Well, I have to admit it, Daniel. I went to red on my little cube that has Mint 20 on it, and I also put the Windows 7 manager in there that somebody had made. It actually works pretty well, just because I guess. So
Yeah.
Well,
it looks nice.
My Logitech 910 can do all the rainbow vomit you can handle, but I keep it on blue. So
Rainbow
I don't
there you
know.
go. Blue it is.
Yeah,
My
my mouse is
keyboard-
green.
My keyboard also on laptop has a option of colors and all that. I keep it turned off. That's the way to use it. I
I don't
just-
like all that RGB shiny stuff. I don't need all. I mean, I got the lights here that stay, on one color, but I don't need all the flashy, blinky.
It depends
Oh,
on
I
where it
always
is,
thought
though.
that was like a bunch of computers around you, like glowing with purple
Oh, it is.
RGB stuff.
Oh, no. It's I have two lamps that have the RGB light bulbs that whatever. But I am surrounded by computers.
Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, like, it depends on where it is, Jason. Like, if it's on my keyboard, I don't really want it like every color. But if it's like a background, maybe like an
Kinda like the
open
sign?
yeah, that's like cool with me. So it's like,
But that's not on all the time.
No.
So me, it gives me a headache seeing all the flashing. It might be because I'm epileptic too, so it can be.
we're just trying to keep you
something.
awake, dude.
I can't stand it. My brother just bought every flashy bling bling thing he can get for his room, and I'm like, I'm not going into the disco. Okay, no.
But RGB makes your computer faster.
Hey, Dan Kelly, you haven't been here for a couple weeks, brother. What have you been trying out? What have you been doing?
Well, actually, I took on some other projects that are not Linux related. They're more audio related. Somebody took a look at my Pioneer SX1250 audio rig, and it's a 78. And they decided they had one too that didn't work. And I'm like, okay, I have a book for this thing. Bring it over and I'll take a look at it. What are you looking to do with it? He told me he wanted it totally restored. So I started digging around in this thing, and it needed to be, kind of totally restored because it looked like it had been sitting in a damp, musty place for a while. And it looked like it had been abused very hard because this particular stereo receiver weighs about 75 pounds and puts out about 160, 70 watts when really pushed to the channel. But it takes a lot of time to take one of those apart and make little documentations of where the circuit boards go and screws, the length of them and stuff where they go. And you got to take a lot of pictures and stuff like that. And then before you get into it even that deep, you got to source parts and see if you can get parts like the light bulbs that go in the front of the receiver. You can't really get those anymore. You have to come up with an LED replacement. And that's been consuming, some of my time. And then when I get really frustrated with it, I go and I do some gaming.
Yeah.
As you probably noticed, Steam had a really good summer Steam sale. I picked up The Witcher 3. I picked up the Elder Scrolls Skyrim. That game, I'm so deep into it, it's unbelievable.
It's a time suck.
Skyrim is addictive.
Now there's a
Well,
new generation of consoles coming out for them to be released again on.
There's actually a game coming out for Xbox Series X that looks like Skyrim as if it was made today.
Yeah. It's made by the Outer Worlds people, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I cannot wait to play that on PC.
Well,
here's the thing with the Skyrim game. It is a huge, never-ending game. You get a lot of game for your money, and I paid, I think, $14 for it on sale, and it comes with all the DLCs and everything for the special edition. And they also build that game now with a 64-bit engine rather than the 32-bit one.
That's the way I get games that are 5-10 years old on Steam for $10, and
it performs on Steam perfectly. It runs great on Linux.
There's so much content out there that's very inexpensive, and so those games have all been flushed out. The bugs are well over. The communities for mods are huge. Like, yeah, that is. Be careful with that, Dan.
Well, you know something? I got to cheat now and then. Sometimes I'll get stuck in a spot for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and get frustrated with that. The next thing you know, I'm watching YouTube videos how to get around the spot.
So, Dan, is 2 things about Skyrim. Little tip: if you are in a spot and you physically cannot move, because this can happen, hit the tilde key. And then I think it's TCL.
Yeah.
And you can move around in 3 dimensions and inside things and all that. Don't do it that often, though, because it's kind of cheating.
It is cheating. I had to use that to actually de-vampire myself.
Oh, my gosh.
How do you de-vampire yourself using toggle no clip? No.
If you get the vampire bite, I got the code for it. You enter it there.
Oh, my gosh.
Cheat like God mode or something and Doom.
It's like
all it does is toggle no clip. You just
this is all Skyrim.
It's a different command in the developer console.
Cheating is bad. Cheating ruins
it's
the game.
called set stage space VC01 space 200.
That's not TCL. That's something completely different.
It's like, did we fall or something? It's like, did we fall or something? Because this has turned from Big Daddy Linux Live into Skyrim, Elder Scrolls.
Well, as a matter of fact, thank you, Fern, because we're going to detail, get a little bit off course here and go back to the regular discussion. And I wanted to bring up a discourse topic that one of the guys that posted, and forgive me, I didn't write down the name of the person that posted it, so I'm sorry. But anyway, he posted us a question in the discourse forums, and it says, I've done networking in the past and was even the network administrator in a couple past lives. The thing is, I didn't really learn anything or at least retain much of it. I'd like to change that. I'd like to understand networking from a Linux point of view and from the ground up. I have all the computers in the house running Linux. I have a clean slate, a blank canvas. I know where all my files are. So I want to take some time to get serious. Could this group point me to what they think would be the best resource to get started on the basics? I want to understand port forwarding, router configuration, SSID, MAC ID, and it goes on the list, all of the nuts and bolts. My problem is that I find myself talking to intermediate and advanced folks, and when we get to this stuff, I absorb just enough to be dangerous. I get that because I know just enough to be dangerous, and that's it. Any thoughts or recommendations would be greatly appreciated. So, Bill, I want to start with you because you already pulled up some links, and I'll let you finish that. Bill.
All right. Hey, Rocco, you just give me a moment because Zoom is so happy with me.
Oh, you're having issues, dude.
Yeah. Just give me a moment.
Okay.
So go to someone else, please.
Yep. So,
well, I'll just chime in here and say that I posted a link to that particular discourse thread in both the YouTube chat and the Zoom chat.
Thank you, Dan. Who was the guy posting it? Can you tell me?
The real Aquinas.
Okay. So does anybody have any suggestions on where he should start to learn these basics?
Wow, he's got a lot of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, for me, honestly,
I can give a little bit. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yep, no problem.
Go ahead.
For me, what I've been doing is I been going to when I want to learn about anything network related or computer related, or getting deep into like topics and stuff. I use a site. It's called CB Nuggets or CBT Nuggets. It's a training course that they give you the tutorials and the step by step, and they walk you through it. That's one thing that I use, and they have obviously different types of learning channels and stuff like that. Of course, and there's the usual watch YouTube videos, find somebody that type in port forwarding or whatever and watch tutorials. But I find that doing actual course based type learning is actually a great way to doing it. Is that's why I use the CBT Nuggets. Plus I have a access to it for free, so that helps me out. But I don't know how much it actually costs to use it. But I do recommend getting in some sort of coursework so that you can see it step by step, get training for step by step, and see what's going on.
Debian Handbook.
Techie, since he's a new guy here, I know you do a lot with sysadmin and networking and stuff. How did you learn?
So yeah, that's what I was going to point, because when I was a network administrator, this was years ago, so things changed. But I do know that the industry standard is Cisco equipment when it comes to networking. So you have to understand Cisco equipment. So I recommend getting some Cisco training, as well as kind of like what Jason stated, CBT Nugget, some type of training that you could follow, as well as Linux Academy. And I know that's not, Cisco is not Linux. It has a command line you could type into and configure, to configure the switches, routers, all that good stuff. But yeah, get some Cisco training. And that's pretty much the industry standard if you're trying to become a network administrator. I know as far as positions I've been in and positions that I know of other guys that have been in. So that's what I can add.
And I'll just throw out there from the stuff that I've learned. I think the courses are good to familiarize you with a broad range of topics. But I know that when I was learning and doing certifications and stuff like that, hands-on lab stuff is huge. So if you're trying to learn some of these things, have access to a server, spin up a local server of some sort. If you have hardware, great, do that. If not, do a virtual machine. But just, if you're interested in the list that's there is, SSH and SFTP and like sort of all the server-based technologies and routing and firewall rules and IP tables, like all that kind of stuff. You can read about it, and the courses are good and they're going to touch on certain things. But until you actually get in and really like have a problem or try to configure it yourself, that's to me at least, that's how I learn. Like I got to get my hands dirty, get in there and really dig around. And of course on something that's not production. If you're in a position where you're trying to learn this stuff, don't ever do this on a mission critical system. But I was a 22-year-old sysadmin that had no choice. I had to learn it as I went and hope that I didn't break things, and I usually did, but then learned how to fix them. But that's my only advice is like books are good, courses are good. And I think this is for all technology, not just networking, but take the time to learn the landscape, learn what's out there. To Techie's point, if you're trying to go for a job, then find out what things are out there in terms of marketable skills. But in the end, like, don't rely solely on that. Like, get your hands dirty, get in there. And fortunately, with virtualization, it's just so easy to spin up a bunch of them if you want, and try different things. Try to connect them together. Try to make little LAN, a little virtual LAN. And can you get everything to talk together? Can you get things, hooked up? And so, yeah, that's been my experience at least.
Yeah, and I think to take that just a step further, real quick, Jason. As far as simulating networks, there's software to do that too. GNS3 is one of them. It's a graphical network simulator. So basically, if you want to do that in the network world, you can spin up your little network, I guess, in a virtual environment, and give it a test there. Yeah, there's a bunch of things like that. Just like you said, get your hands dirty, and even you can find some of the stuff fairly reasonably inexpensive online, like at eBay or something. Get yourself a couple switches and maybe a router or something, and just kind of play offline, not in a production mode, but and just test those things out. Go ahead, Jason.
Oh, I was going to say another, obviously, the most obvious way of doing it is it's like what Eric was saying, is the hands-on. That's how I got started in the IT industry. I've been doing it for 20 plus years, and all I did was I found a random job. I worked as a tech for the Boston Medical Center when I lived up in Boston. I got the job. It was, I went to different locations across the hospital and fixed computers and did that and added them to the to the networks and all that kind of good stuff. But the best way to do it is, find a job, entry level job, get in there, and if you can, and get the experience and get the train. I know I think they said in the thing that they done it before, but didn't really learn anything. Then I would just say get back into it, and then really ask when you're there. Ask the questions as you're doing it. If you don't know how to do something, follow along with somebody that does know how to do it, and then do it. Don't have them do it, but have them help you do it, so to speak. So that you're the one that's there in front of the system, typing or whatever else that might be going on, and have them just guide you. That's a true, for me anyway, that's the best way to learn. I'm a visual learner. I can get information from reading, but I'd rather do it and see it. And that's why I have so many computers: Mac, Linux, Windows 7, Windows 95, Windows 2, everything under the sun. So I just want to learn everything.
Well, just to clarify, I don't know if this person who asked this question is trying to get a job as a network administrator. I think he's just trying to learn the basics. Now, he could be. It doesn't specifically say that he's looking for a job. He's just talking about, I guess, getting the whole picture, because you can get some things here and some things here, but you miss some in the middle. So I think he just wants the full picture of all of it. DJ, you work with this stuff a lot. What do you think?
Well, I was just reading his message, and it says that he was a network administrator in a past life, so he's got at least some experience in networking.
Mm-hmm.
If he's wanting to learn more about the way Linux does networking, the first place that I would point him to is the Debian Administrator's Handbook, because in there are several chapters that walk you through the basics of networking and the topics that he's talking about. He's wanting to know about port forwarding, router configuration, and he says he's got machines that are already set up for Linux, so it shouldn't be too hard to put a couple of them into Debian or into Ubuntu, because they both operate pretty similarly network wise, and he should be able to use that and follow along with it. But I would not recommend doing this on a VM, because VMs have a lot of automatic routing that's inside of them. So, I mean, if you really want to learn this, you want to do it the hard way. You want to set it up machine to machine with a switch with real hardware. And then if he wants to go play with the VM, great. But VMs they do a lot for you. And so that's it's going to mask over some of his difficulties, and difficulties is how we learn. You got to run into them a few times and learn. I set up my first network way back when we had the big fat yellow cable.
Oh yeah, thicknet, good stuff.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
Yep. And that is when you have a couple of machines and you just want to get them networking, that's a great way to start. And then you slowly build up. You get your router up and running. Now you don't need routers today. You can use switches and VLANs, but that's a step that he can take on his own to get there. But he's got SSID, which is for wireless, Mac ID. He wants to learn wireless, so yeah. That's a good way to start, and then as he moves into SSH and Samba that he wants to, that Debian book covers those as well. And then if he wants to get more advanced, I would recommend going to the FreeBSD handbook, because that networking gets a little bit deeper. into it. And then if he wants to move over into specific hardware, Cisco, Cisco definitely. I would agree with that, but I wouldn't start with the Cisco. That's far too deep.
I did throw the Cisco training links in both not Discourse, but YouTube and Zoom chat in case anybody wanted to check them out.
I'll put the link in the. Let's see if I can get it to copy.
I just typed in the ARP chat here, but I was thinking the first one that came to mind is maybe reaching out to Noah Chalaya just to see if maybe he'd have some suggestions, because that's pretty much his business, and he could start there. I think Noah would be glad to help him, at least point him in the right direction.
That's what we're here. That's what we're here to do, Joe. Point him in the right direction.
Yeah. Well, there you go. I just pointed them at least part way.
I'm just teasing.
There really are some good YouTube channels, though. To follow up with
I didn't mean it that way, Rocco.
No. Yeah, but like there really are some other good YouTube channels too that can help out. I think like Network Chuck is one of them that
Network
comes to
Chuck
my mind.
is really big, really good.
He's pretty good. And Lawrence Tech Systems is another one that comes to my mind.
Yeah.
They both do a lot of networking stuff too. So I would. Yep. I think those are both pretty good. Might be a little more advanced once you get down a little more comfortable, but I'd say go for those. Colin, go ahead. You got your hand up.
Yeah, I was just going to put a different spin on this because I knew nothing about port forwarding, SSH and all that stuff. I did learn SSH when I was doing an Arch install, I think was our challenge. And to record the finishing off after I installed it, you still got to run through on the command line. So I SSH so I could record that from my main system. But port forwarding I knew nothing about. And the only way I learned that was because I had to set up the Xbox for my son. And the Xbox, you have to port forward on your router. So that was, a whole bunch of reading just to try and understand it, because I still don't fully understand it. So I don't know whether he's talking about that from that perspective or not, but I just thought I'd throw in, some of the experiences I've had with that. But it can be quite daunting because, people say you leave yourself vulnerable if you don't do this and that. So I still don't know whether I did it right or wrong. I just know that it's working.
Well, to Colin's point, to Colin's point, I think networking in general, I mean, it's its own profession and skill set for a reason. It's a very deep topic. Well, it's broad and deep, right? And there's specializations for lots of different things. I think Linux server has proven itself to be sort of the standard in terms of, server technology, at least, of course, from my perspective, from a web perspective. But if you learn networking on Linux, and whatever flavor that is, there's some similarity across. They have different kind of tool sets and things like that, different ways of doing the same things, but the underlying technologies are all fundamentally the same. So if you take the time to learn just Linux sort of server administration and all the basics of networking that would go with running a Linux server, that kind of gives you, I think, a good, well-rounded start. But this list he brings up, I mean, to me personally, if I was learning a new subject, and I think it's a bit ambitious to maybe say, you're going to try to learn all these things. Like the reason I'm suggesting maybe just focus on the basics of like, how would I run a server is a good real world example of like, what are the different networking aspects I have to take into consideration, from the physical hardware of the network itself all the way through, how do I configure different services? And to Colin's point, am I doing it in a way that's best practice in terms of being secure? How do I know I'm doing that? What tools are available? So anyway, I caution against maybe because if sometimes when you look at it, it can be too big, right? I've looked at computer programming for many years and just I dabble, and then I get just overwhelmed because it's such a huge area of focus. And the way that I'm overcoming it is just I'm picking something and I'm just going to do that thing. And then I feel like if I get comfortable with it, then it kind of bleeds over, and then I can say, okay, well, this looks familiar. And then I think networking to some degree, you kind of get that same experience.
I'll say that the list, you're right, Eric. You need to keep it kind of simple. And I think the list that he's got there, I would just start chipping away at it. Just pick one at a time. Just kind of work your way through it. And it takes a little while. You can't expect to completely understand everything all at once. So just kind of keep working on it. Anyway, Big Pod, you got your hand up. Go ahead.
Well, I'm gonna say how I like to learn, and I probably recommend this to most people, is to just find a problem or create a problem, and then just start researching that topic and do it until you either get it to your satisfaction or get it downright perfect. That's the best way to do it. And that's how I learned programming, Linux, and I gotta say that's the best way to learn, at least for me.
Well,
And
that's DJ's approach, right? Let's see if I can break it.
Yeah. Well, Big Pod, I don't
Yeah.
have to
No,
create my
no,
own problems. They find me.
well, you have that specialty. Some don't.
Say, create a problem. That's why you run Arch, right, Big Pod? Because you always have a problem there ready to fix.
No, Arch really doesn't have problems. That's one consistent.
Wait. That doesn't even make sense. Arch Linux
You
users
need
don't
to
have problems.
create them.
That's like, never mind.
I never had.
We're not
them
going there.
with Arch.
Yeah,
I think Big Pod
I didn't-
makes a good point.
I
Sorry.
I didn't start out by breaking things. It started out by just putting two things together, and then breaking things is a natural part of learning. I mean, well, come on. I mean, it is.
I started out with going, hey, what does this do? Oh, wait, my computer's
Well,
not booting anymore.
That's right.
That's why I
no.
keep telling. That's why I keep telling Rocco who'd be such a good QA tester because he always finds things to break. You know. So.
Hey, what does this do? Oh, it does not do that.
Yeah,
exactly.
I can tell you what everything doesn't do, and it's
I
supposed
think
to.
Big Pod makes a good point, though. I mean, if you've got a problem, there's no better way to learn than the problem needs to be fixed. So when the problem needs to be fixed, you're going to be really, really focused, which is what I was. If I was just trying to learn how to do port forwarding, I would probably have no idea, probably all go over my head. But because I've got an issue there where I need to get something running, I think you learn a bit better that way, to be honest.
Yeah, that's actually why I actually decided to do it this way, because I was always learning, like in school. Everything's just thrown at you and really don't have an incentive to remember to learn. But once you started doing it for a reason, once you started doing either you have a problem or you artificially created that problem and now you want to get it back running, then that's an actual reason to learn. And then you learn and you're focused on learning.
Well, and I'll spin it back to the thing I love about this group and always have is that it's such a mix of people, right? It's people that just use Linux because they're curious, and it's people who use it for a profession. It's people who use it to get things done, build things, whatever it is. And the one common thread for all of us is that we all are willing to learn. And, with open source software in general, it gives us the opportunity to do that. I don't have to go buy some insanely expensive enterprise level system in order to actually learn these things. I could just go to the source and get it myself, or my distro has it for me. And this was really not going anywhere, but other than to just say, it's the thing I respect about all of you is that we all have this inbuilt curiosity and want to learn things. And it's why I keep coming back here, because every single time you guys always bring something new. So.
Yep. Computer Kid, go ahead.
So I'm gonna hopefully be doing some port forwarding soon for my server. And after my research, I've learned at least one thing, and that's if you're gonna do port forwarding, set up dynamic DNS. Especially if you're a consumer and your IP changes like most people's, you got to set up dynamic DNS. Otherwise, it won't work.
That's true. You won't be able to get back.
All right,
Farron's had his hand up. Yeah.
So I was going to say earlier, it's like, let me just press this colorful button to see what it does. Oh no, the wall blew up. And also, just as an FYI, I do have another discussion topic for later.
Okay, so there is one topic that we're probably not going to talk about. I don't know if that's what you wanted to talk about, but just saying.
Nah. It's like, unless it's like what everyone thinks of stuff like Linux FX, then.
Well, I'll tell you what, we are going to get into our app list that we have been doing for the last couple of weeks. And if we have time, we will get to that. But so for the last.
I have something though before you start that.
Oh, do it, Dan, do it.
As a follow-up, we talked about video editors.
Yes.
I think last time, right?
Yep.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. Anyway, we talked about those. It appears that there's a Kden live tutorial site that has popped up recently this week. Someone that has been flirting with the idea for a while now, and I'll post a link in the YouTube chat for everybody. It's got a bunch of tutorials. I think like 43, which is quite a few, really.
Nice.
He did say that some of them may be a little bit dated because he kind of got those set up a while ago, and they may be named a little differently now. But you said you can do all the same stuff, so I'll
post it, dude.
I'll post a link.
Yes, because we are going to continue on this. Last week we did GIMP and Kden Live, so we did photo editors and video editors. So we are going to continue on. The next one on the list for the 21 must-have Ubuntu apps is Telegram desktop. So I don't know. I know that in the circle of people that I hang out with, Telegram is like the thing. Okay, so everybody has a group. There are 14 billion Linux groups that you can be in, and there's probably 857,000 billion messages that you could read if you were Dan Simmons and you felt like you had to read them all. I don't. I usually kind of scroll and just mark them all as read if I haven't been there for a while, because they could be super long. But what does everybody think about Telegram? Is that your choice of communication, or do you have another app you want to talk about?
Well, I have multiple communication apps, everything from Discord, Slack, Teams, Telegram, basically different people I communicate. With school, I communicate either with Slack or Teams. With my class, I communicate with Discord. I gotta keep them in line. It really helps to have a constant communication line, especially for the leader of the class. And well, Telegram I have for you guys, and I wouldn't even have it on my laptop if I didn't have to do communication with Magnus for Duplisig. We were in constant communication throughout last week, so that was quite a requirement, since that's our way of communicating.
Joe, what about you?
Me? I'm sorry.
Yes, Joe.
Okay, sorry. Well, I misheard. No, I typically will use Telegram dominantly if I'm going to message back and forth things. The problem is when you have a week that you don't follow up on it. I have it boot up with my system right away, and I look at Biddle Group and there's over 3,000 messages. It's hard to keep up with really what's going on. That's the downside to it. On the other side of it, I don't think I use Discourse enough for Biddle. Discord tends to be out there because a lot of times it's comes from when maybe a content provider is live streaming, things like that, and then you connect up with the group of people and you talk that way. Sometimes it turns into a hangout. So and then the YouTube chats, of course. So I mean, I think typically for me, those are kind of the dominant places I tend to communicate with the community itself. They all have their pros and cons, but I think it's one of the things I found out, even with all the messaging in Telegram, is if you have an issue or question or whatever, it'll be answered almost immediately on there by somebody. it's been a very good source of stuff like that. So even going back to the other gentleman that was asking a question in discourse, joining, a couple of Telegram groups, and it could get overwhelming because I belong to at least 3 of them. Michael's is one of them, and Destination Linux and that. And you look and you could have all these thousands of messages, so you're never going to keep up with them all. But the nice thing is if there's something you want to seek out, you can. There's search features in there, which I don't think people realize sometimes too, and you can see the threads from different people that are being spoken about. So
yeah, I've gone through that. It can get overwhelming. I kind of got crazy and joined probably 20 different groups, and all of a sudden you've got literally thousands of unreads, and if you don't turn off notifications, it's out of control. So it's like swimming. You might have a pool, you don't swim every day, but hey, you might want to jump in and take a dip every now and then. And that's how I see Telegram, unless someone ats me. But you're right that Telegram is excellent because it's ubiquitous in a lot of ways in this community, and you can get a quick answer in a lot of ways. So most projects have an official Telegram group, so if it's GNOME or KDE or any of these other desktop environments, and then distros have them, and then different groups have them, and they are great for that, no doubt.
there is one other place too that comes about, which isn't for everybody and everything on here, but when you tend to become or develop friendships out of here, there's a few of us that have exchanged, contact phone numbers, things like that. So we even communicate that way. So that's really nice because that's the one cherry on the top, I think, from belonging to a group like this is the friendships that are made and the personalized communication that can happen too.
Yep.
Absolutely. Yeah. And animated GIFs, right?
Right.
I mean, what would Telegram be without that? So, Computer Kid.
So I am on Telegram and Discord, and I use them mainly because the community's there. But if the community isn't a factor, I really like Matrix. For Daniel Stevenson gave me a double thumbs up, but I like it for its open sourceness. It's a very open source community, and then it's very granular, so you can mix and match your obviously theoretically, practically it's not super easy, but you can theoretically mix and match your server, your protocol, and your client. They're 3 separate things, and the amount of choice and the ability to self-host and their open community makes it a really cool platform. But unfortunately, there's not much community there, at least yet.
And you bring up Matrix. So one of the preeminent clients for that is Riot, and they actually just rebranded from Riot to Element. And I had tried Riot for a while, and it was on the slow side, a little buggy, but they've made some pretty great strides. And and so the Element client is I have that running now, and it's actually pretty nice. And the nice thing about Matrix is you can bridge IRC, you can bridge Telegram, and so it is sort of one way to have a single client that you can encapsulate all those different services and protocols. And and it seems to be getting better rapidly. So,
cool. Because Matrix is just a protocol, Matrix is the protocol, Synapse is the server, and now Element is the client. Those are all the flagships, and because it's just Matrix is just a protocol, it's easy for people, not easy, but it's easier than most of the competitors to make clients. Yes, it's possible, exactly, to make custom clients, custom servers, and then bridges. Bridges are, they're so good. The ones I've seen they work so well. I would assume that it has to have been a priority in the making of Matrix.
Yeah, I think it's come a long way. It wasn't, I don't imagine originally the goal, but they've certainly done good work there for sure. Let's see, Daniel Stevenson, go right ahead. You got your hand up.
Hi. So yeah, Telegram. I have one. It's actually kind of a new development for me. Back when I first got into Linux, I hadn't got into the podcasts and everything. And I remember distros would tell you, jump in IRC. And I'm like, okay. And I tried that, and I couldn't figure out how to IRC really. So I just stuck to forums and everything. But then I started listening to Destination Linux and Linux for Everyone and some other podcasts. And I'm like, oh, Telegram. Lots of people are on Telegram. And so I'm on there because the community is there. But like Computer Kid, I don't really like the app. I've been using Discord for years. I'm a member of, I mean, I guess my generation was the target generation for Discord. So I hopped on that train pretty early, like before sort of like open source software really became a concern for me. I do think, and it has some nice features, like you can have a server with multiple different channels for chatting and things. But you know, it is completely closed source. Like at least with Telegram, the client isn't. But I do like it. I think it's organized a lot better than Telegram is. And then Matrix is really cool. You know, it's still in not quite as polished. Maybe it's sometimes kind of slow. But my dream is to one day do, well, maybe I don't, Discord I won't be able to because third-party clients break their terms of service.
Yep.
But you can, in addition to bridging rooms, you can use it as just a client for like IRC. So I'm in a couple that way. Or you can use it as a client for Telegram, but only if, but not on the default server matrix.org, because a lot of people apparently exploited that for like bots and things. So, you know, in the event that I actually get my own home server set up, I think the Telegram app would disappear. And yeah.
Gotcha.
Anyway.
Yeah, I'm on probably far too many things anyway.
Far too many.
Well, I know, Dan, I look up in my my toolbar on my tray. I've got Discord, I've got Element, I've got Telegram, I've got Microsoft Teams, I've got Slack.
I have all those.
Yeah, that's what I have open right now.
I've got IRC too.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, so yeah, I read all that stuff
And
too.
he
by the way.
does read every single message.
I really try.
You can cheat with IRC. You just leave the room and you didn't know it happened because there's no history.
Well, yeah, but I got a bouncer, so I do know because it's all there in the
like I said,
backlog.
He reads everything.
I'm terrible.
For me, with all those different clients, I keep them out of my toolbar. Because they all just stay in the browser. I have a browser IRC client that I host, and I use Element in the browsers and a Discord in the browser. Telegram I can't put in the browser yet, so but I don't let it in my VAR. I just turn off all the notification stuff.
Yep. All right, Thomas, you still got your hand up. Go ahead.
So I have mixed feelings about Telegram. I like it for at least what we use it for. It works quite well. My friend group, we started on Discord, and the Discord server kind of just died over time, and we all moved to Telegram, and that works way better because we had like 20 different channels, and we only used like 2 or 3 of them, and now we only need the one because why not? For the vast majority of my work, though, which is Draugr OS, of course, Discord is where everything happens because I can actually organize stuff with those channels in the servers, which I really, really like, but I hate that Discord's closed sourced. And because of that, I have been looking at potentially hosting my own Matrix Riot server, but Amalith I was talking to about that, and he told me don't bother with it right now because apparently it's hot garbage on the server side.
Wait for Dendrite, then we'll have a client that's written in Go instead of Python.
I've heard that, and I have been waiting, been holding off because my server, while my server is kind of beefy for a home server, I will not put a Matrix server on that because it's already running Nextcloud and Pi-hole and folding at home, and my IRC bouncer, and an app repository, and who knows what else that I've forgotten about. And I don't want to stress the poor thing anymore. So I have an old desktop in like sitting behind the couch that I was going to throw it on and turn it into a server, but it only has like half a gig of RAM, and apparently you don't want to do that to half gig of RAM, throwing the matrix at it. So I've been holding off on that. I have a deep-seated hatred for IRC. I hate it with every fiber of my being, but I have an IRC bouncer anyway, and I do use IRC because that's where the XFCE devs work. I absolutely hate it, and I wish they would move to at least Mattermost. I will get a Mattermost client just to talk with them on Mattermost. Or if they use Slack, I will talk to them on Slack.
They're on GitHub now. Use Gitter, maybe.
They're not on GitHub, but they're on GitLab.
Oh, XFCE, not Ubuntu. Yeah.
And if they did move, that'd be great. But I don't see them moving anytime soon. So, yeah. And I'm on the mailing list. But the mailing list isn't where everything happens. There's stuff that happens elsewhere. And I might set up a bridge between Element and IRC once I figure out how to do that.
It's all done by matrix.org. All you have to do is the join command that you already know from IRC. So /join, and then #freenode_, and then pound the name of the room on Freenode. And that works for a couple of other popular IRC servers. You would have to go to their website for the list.
Everything
you don't
I'm
have to
on.
do any work yourself. It's just joining a room. It's the same as joining a matrix room, except it's actually an IRC room. And I think you can also look at Freenode rooms in the Discover.
Does it have a built-in bouncer though?
Oh yes.
Okay, good.
It
It
moves your
does.
bouncer and your client
It
at once.
is a bouncer, basically.
Because that's one of the number one reasons I absolutely hate IRC. And that is why you'll always hear me say that IRC was poorly made. I don't care if it's open source.
Try. It was our first try at internet relay
I love
chat,
IRC.
right?
IRC
No,
is
it
the
wasn't.
best.
Email was.
Okay, but that
email worked great.
Email wasn't IRC was the first try. A synchronous. That's the word I'm looking for.
Okay, I'll give you that.
All right. Let's get it back to.
We have to we have to
Yeah.
move on here. Dan Kelly, go ahead.
Okay, I won't drag this out too much.
Thank you, Dan.
I originally started out with the IRC, and then I dropped favor with it because people aren't really there to monitor or watch your comments on the spot. It usually takes them days sometimes. But I got into Discord for a while, and for about 6 months, I had a handful of buddies that use Linux and stuff like that. And we would hop on at 9:30 at night and talk for a couple hours just about every night. Well, that kind of people stopped showing up, and it got to the point where it got kind of useless. So now I'm with the Telegram, and I have the Big Daddy Linux Telegram, and I have the Destination Linux one, and I got a few others. And it's most of the time it's always up and running. When I get up in the morning, I start up the computer, look at some videos or something, because I don't have regular TV. I got rid of that a long time ago because I didn't want to pay the bill, and I barely watched it. So I'll start it up. I'll watch some YouTube videos. I'll do some hobby stuff, but it's running here. And for the most part, for the us people, the Big Daddy people, I know who's on there and at what time they're on there every single day. It's like systematic work. And there's a group of maybe 10 people that are always on there, and it's like their home, and it's a happy place they like to be, and I leave them alone. Or if I got a question, I'll talk to them, or I'll make a funny comment. But for the most part, that's how I leave it. What I do like also about Telegram is the news articles that people post. You'll go through a bunch of comments and chatter and everything else, and somebody will throw up something. Hey, that looks pretty interesting, man. I better go look at that. And I get a lot of entertainment out of that too. But for me, yeah, Telegram, Discord, it's kind of gone downhill. I haven't tried any of the other stuff out there. I'm not going to bury myself in media apps.
Thank you, Dan. Before we go any further, I just wanted to, highlight that Steve's very own is here, and he hasn't said a word since he came in. So I'm not sure what's going on.
I said hello. Right now, my son's mixing up a strawberry milk drink, and he's being really noisy.
All right.
But no, I just on Telegram talk about all the messages that will be there. You have to think it's like a game. Guess how many of them are shickle stickers?
Right. Yep.
Wow.
All right, Farron, go ahead, brother.
Well, I mean, I mainly main Discord, though also secondary main Telegram. And I also infrequently use a bunch of other ones for different reasons. Though we can't forget the most important one of them all that we need to shout out, the YouTube live chat.
Right? Yeah, but you can't get there during the week, dude. So that's kind of like,
Yeah, I participate quite a bit. Of
technically, if there's a stream happening, you can.
Well, yeah, but there's not a stream every night. Steve's slacking. He only wants to stream on Sundays. So.
Oh, it's just like IRC.
Yeah,
It disappears.
Yeah,
I mean,
He does.
anyone can stream, to be fair.
I don't think we haven't noticed, Steve.
Right?
I mean, anyone can stream anytime, to be fair.
Well, we wrote a
Just
count
stream
on
for
certain
the chat.
people.
Just like
Yeah.
It's like
That's kind of expensive.
put his finger on forehead.
Let's fit some others in. Nate, what do you got for us?
I was going to say the Telegram is probably the one I use the most because it seems to be not resource heavy, and I can rely on it, and there's enough people on it that it actually is useful to me. I really want to like Discord, but it's a struggle to like Discord, and pretty much every other chat client I don't really care for. I do have Matrix, Riot, Element, whatever it's called. I don't understand. I got a client. I can't remember what it's called now because I use it so often. Quarternin, silly QT name is what it is, but it works really well.
Quatermelon or whatever.
Sure, whatever you want to call it, that works. But it works, and sometimes I have it on, sometimes I don't. But Telegram just to me is just it meets the mark for everything that I want in a chat client.
Gotcha. Well, Kai, welcome. You have your hand up.
Yes, I do. And as someone who both uses Telegram and Discord, I have to say Discord is a terrible platform. I've been on it since 2015 when they actually founded. And while people say, oh, I want to like Discord, but XYZ, yes, it has lots of big communities. Yes, it has XYZ, ZZ, yeah. It's a terrible platform overall. It is borderline unusable, and I just have to be honest, because as I've used it for several years, I can't really get productive with it. It is very slow, very laggy. They also use web technologies like Electron, which while some do it well, like dot browser and VS Code, they don't.
Do you think that they try to do too much? So my sense is like every time I see them add a new feature, I'm just like, it's already so bloated, and you just keep stuffing more and more stuff in there. So
yeah, when they started adding
more than a gig of memory.
When they started adding the video platform to it, so you can have video too, it really bogged it down.
Yeah.
I have to say that
Like,
they are
I was get-
actually adding too little. They're doing too little to make their platform better.
Oh, okay.
They're
Interesting.
adding more features, which is good, but I feel like they're not making things better. They're just adding things, and more is better. They're going for the quantity of the quality approach.
Got it.
And which is an approach I do not like.
That makes sense. Okay.
One thing I just with Discord is that because it has video and voice and multiple channels and everything, and because you can't, well, Telegram has sort of this problem, but not as much. You tend to and everyone has one basically. You tend to accumulate servers, at least I do, and then you don't use them, and then you delete them all. And then, but like, there's kind of an expectation that you can't just like join a thing, hop in, like ask a question, maybe talk a little, and then hop back out, like you can with IRC or with Matrix or Telegram to some extent. I think they'll let you rejoin chats that you've left.
Oh no, they let you rejoin them. You just have to go find the invite link again.
I know you have to go find the invite link again. And Discord, there's like, oh, you've joined our Discord. Now you're part of our community, and there's an expectation that you'll participate. Like
Yeah, because they wanna keep
continuously
users on their
forever.
Yeah, they even grade you on how many posts you put up.
Well, that's
There are
something that the
bots that
server
do that.
admin can add. And there is one
Yeah,
server.
That's a
different
Me
by
6
bots.
thing.
Yeah, I'm in
sucks. I hate it. Worst thing ever made.
I'm with 2 and DLN.
Not all
Anyway.
servers have Me
All right.
6.
Yeah,
Just
let's
saying.
DLN Discord server.
let's get this back on track a little bit.
Yeah. Okay.
Josh, real quick, let's round out this here topic.
Okay. In a real quick short time, Discord user since 2017, and it was pretty good, but it was only really good for its main purpose, which was gaming. And if you wanted to congregate a bunch of people together while gaming and having fun, then that would be the platform. But yeah, Telegram exists, and it's kind of better because you can just join conversation anytime. You don't have to worry about it, and it's less messy. And some people from Discord will think Telegram is more messy because it's just one channel, but it's fine. They just don't see it yet. So yeah, Telegram is better than Discord in my opinion.
All right, so that is one of the apps on the list, Telegram, as the 21 must-have apps for Ubuntu. The next one we're going to talk about is Foliate EPUB reader. So I don't need something like this. I don't know if you guys are interested in talking about it, but has anybody had any experience with Foliate or any other better readers?
I think when you're talking about we were talking about books and things like that, a lot of people might buy textbooks and manuals, things like that in EPUB format, and then have to, unless you're using an e-reader,
right,
then you need some kind of reader for that. I don't use them very much either, honestly, but
I mean, I have books, dude, that I have ebooks that I have, downloaded and ready. I just don't use it.
Well, a lot of times they'll give you a choice. Do you want an EPUB version? Do you want a PDF? Do you they give you, and I mean, I know that reader experience is a better experience than a PDF, but I guess I'm just lazy and I usually just get a PDF.
All right, Steve, Mo West, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, out of the ebook readers that are available, I think that's one of the best ones out. And I do prefer the reading experience when you get, especially one of those technical books through a humble bundle. I think the reading experience with Foliate is better than what you often get with a PDF, especially if your screen size is more limited.
All right, I know there's a couple different ebook readers out there. I think Bookworm is that just for elementary? Not sure. I know that's one of the better ones, the better looking ones out there.
Foliate is very nice looking, the way it presents everything,
right,
and the options.
Bill?
So hopefully I can stay on for just a few minutes. So Foliate is probably my favorite ebook reader. It does PDFs, EPUBs, you name it. And it's fairly lightweight. So a lot of times people would use, gosh, now my brain's fried. Is it Calibre?
Yeah.
Calibri? Yeah.
Calibri,
whatever.
However you pronounce it. Yeah, and that it's a very vast system because it does imports, exports, manages a library. Foliate's very simple. I think it's using the GNOME interface guidelines. It's beautiful, elegant, runs really well. I believe there's PDF snaps and flat packs for it. PDFs, DEBs, Bill, DEBs. So it's really available. It's really awesome. It's actually something you should all check out. And it's for just viewing PDFs. It's really, really pretty. That was my massive contribution to this discussion.
Bill. Thanks, Bill.
Yeah, excellent.
Thanks.
Bill.
Well, no, sorry.
Bill, it was beautiful. Actually,
All
brought a
right,
tear to
so-
my eye. It was great.
So, Daniel, do you have experience with EPUBs?
I do. And well, I will say that the best way to read a book, in my opinion, is still a print book. Like, if I can get a real book, I'll get the real book. But that
I have to say that I'm actually a little interested to hear that. I would think with coursework, with school, things like that, that they would have tried to push really hard toward electronic publishing.
Well, when they do it at my school, well, for one thing, you can rent a physical book, and they don't change that often, at least at my school. So you can get a book at a reduced price and then give it back, or you might buy one and sell it back. But it's going to cost you money either way, and even renting a used book is usually cheaper than getting the license for the digital thing. Sometimes there is an online textbook, but it will not be an EPUB or a PDF. It will be some browser page laden with DRM that you have to log into and use a terrible interface
Okay.
to get around. But like most of a lot of the reading I do is actually fiction, or and I do have technical books, but like I did pay $15 extra to get the physical version of this along with an EPUB and PDF. But then also, if I'm doing e-reading, it's probably going to be on my phone. Honestly, it's probably not going to be at my computer, because then I can sit in a more comfortable chair, I can lie down, whatever. But when I do use them on my computer, occasionally, Ocular, which is a really great PDF reader, can do EPUBs. It has that built in.
That's the
So
KDE.
yeah.
Tool.
That's the one for
Okay.
KDE. I even have it. I found out they have it for Windows, and so now I have a PDF reader I can recommend to everybody. Anyway.
Well, I think that's a good point, because the form factor of sitting in front of a computer to read a book doesn't make a lot of sense. So maybe that's why we're all scratching our heads and going, well, it's not something we use. If you did have an e-reader, you're probably using that device, a Kindle or whatever, or like you said, on your phone. That just makes more sense because it's in your hand versus sitting in front of a computer. So
Yeah, I use the iPad for reading books. Most cases, the Kindle app. So I get a lot of books off of Amazon. I do have a bunch of EPUB books as well that I use the LBRY, or however you say it. It has an iOS app as well, so I can just use it on there to read books.
I guess people would be, if you worried about the portability, right? We talked about streaming last week and the idea of owning your own physical, digital copy of something versus, using a service. And if you're using Kindle, do you really have access to that file? Could you take it and put it somewhere else? I mean, maybe that's where this segment of software comes into play.
That really depends on whether you bought the book from Amazon or if you bought it from a different store and they provided a .mobi file that you can import onto your Kindle.
Right.
And you'll have to use a Kindle device for that, but then you can have that backed up somewhere and Amazon can't pull the plug.
With the Amazon, the ones you download off of Amazon, they're basically, they sit in a library of for me it's the Kindle app because I have iOS, so you can't port them back and forth to. You can download them on other devices, but you can't actually physically move the file.
So if
I'm
the
not sure about
service,
the PC though,
if the service was interrupted or the service went away, would you still be able to read those?
Yeah, the books will be downloaded as long as you've already downloaded them onto the device. They're still there.
The only danger
But
would
if
then
you
be-
don't download them and they're just sitting up in the library, up in the cloud, then you haven't downloaded them, then you wouldn't have access if it went away. But if you
with Amazon, they can actually remove the title from your device. Because there was a situation once, I forgot the reason why, but everybody's copy, whoever had purchased 1984, it was removed from their devices for a short period of time. Then they found out what it was, whatever the glitch was, and they re-downloaded it to everybody's device.
Yep.
There's just I'm not sure if it was on the BDLL discourse or it might have been on the DLN discourse, but there was a thread about sort of DRM or free or open source ebook readers where the EPUB format is not encumbered like Amazon's thing. Like, I believe it existed before the Kindle, and Amazon just said, we're big enough that we can push our own. But so there's, it's an interesting discussion, and you can I guess if you're interested, you can just search for that.
Hey, Colin. I don't know what these guys are talking about. They're talking about like actually reading books.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on here.
Okay,
honestly.
so, we're gonna move on to the next app, which is Caffeine. I think most people know what Caffeine is, but it's basically a small app to stop the screensaver or screen locking, whichever there is, while you're using a full screen app. So if you're watching a video, it will stop it from starting. So I don't know if there's any replacement for Caffeine. Like,
I was going to say, was this I mean, I think this used to be an issue. I remember years ago that for the desktop environments couldn't tell when an app was busy, and it would, power, the power settings would kick in. And, I remember that from years ago. I'd be watching a full screen video and it would just go to screensaver. But I'm trying to think, I have not seen that behavior out of any desktop environment in recent memory. So when I look at something like Caffeine, I always wonder, do people really still need that? I don't know.
Well, I usually turn off all screensavers and all screen locks. So
I thought that's what Caffeine was for.
Well, no, I mean, I disable it in the settings. So I don't want my computer to lock, and I don't want the screensaver to come up. I want it to be there until I put it to sleep.
I know
or
whose
shut it
house
down.
to come break in and get their computer information.
Oh, yeah,
from.
yeah.
I think that Caffeine, the idea of it is that you just have an applet, and it's a GNOME extension, right?
Well, you can install it as an app. There is a GNOME extension, but I'm almost positive you can install it as an app.
Oh.
Yeah, you can install it on other DEs.
Okay, I think the idea is that instead of having to dig into settings, if you wanted to switch that on and off for certain situations, then you just have something in your tray that you can easily toggle.
Yeah.
I just don't find it useful to have that there, so I just turn it off.
Yeah, I think for a lot of people, I think you're right. It's a convenient little toggle switch down there in the tray that you just turn on and turn off, and away you go.
See, I had an issue on Ubuntu 18.04 where, like Dan was saying, it couldn't tell when I was like watching a video or something like that, and it would just shut off the screen, lock it, and the video would keep playing. I could still hear audio, and I would try messing with the power settings. I'd completely disable power settings. It wouldn't change a thing. It would still do it. So I'd have to like shake the mouse every once in a while. But ever since I've updated to 2004, I haven't had that issue. So either XFCE fixed something or Caffeine's installed and I just don't know it. And if it is, great.
That's weird because I actually still deal with that on pretty much any DE I use in Ubuntu 2004 if I'm using LightDM specifically. Sometimes that's
Well, I
DE.
haven't had this. Well, I haven't had this issue ever since I've been on Linux. I don't remember ever having to move my mouse so my screen doesn't shut while I watch a movie or something like that. I don't know, but I mainly am either in GNOME, Mate, or something like that. So maybe that's why, because those are better and your KDE is bad.
Well, even I started a long running file copy the other day, and I actually, when I was away for a good 20 minutes, I thought, oh no, my system's going to go to sleep in the middle of this file copy. And I got back probably 45 minutes later and it was still running. So I think that the power settings are much more intelligent now about recognizing that there's a running process, that stopping it would be a bad thing. So maybe I'm just lucky.
Well, it's always good to have luck on your side. Farron, go ahead. Hello, Farron? Is my mic on? I'm
No,
on,
no, no.
right?
Your mic is on.
He must be away.
Okay.
Yeah.
He must
Oh,
be
there he
sleeping.
is.
Yeah, so it's like Plasma did a thing, I guess, with Wi-Fi.
Oh, never.
Whatever reason. As in that whole thing of Wi-Fi disconnects, it doesn't realize it disconnected, and so it kind of freezes waiting for the connection until you go on the Wi-Fi thing, and then it realizes it kind of lost the connection, so reconnects.
Oh, you're back.
properly
Anyway,
again.
yeah, caffeine.
Well,
What do you
anyway,
think?
it's like, I mean, there's two alternatives to caffeine mainly, I guess. One, caffeine in real life, and two, actually just turning off the lock screen and the sleep timer in general.
Well, I mean, I keep mine on because the Lumina screensavers are just so cool. Even if it interrupts my work, can't deny that.
And then just look manually.
There you go. All right, Colin, go ahead.
Caffeine is an awesome little app. Use it all the time. It's brilliant.
All right, enough said.
All right, Computer Kid, go ahead.
Bloat. I think this is kind of silly that we would need an app to keep our screens or to keep our computers from going to sleep. Like, if it should go to sleep, maybe just have a button to have it go to sleep. That's what I do, but why would we need an app to keep it open? That seems like a bug in the system that we should need a separate app to keep our systems open. It just seems kind of silly to me.
Well, I think maybe one good use might be, let's say you are reading an ebook, just to tie this in. If your computer didn't realize that application was supposed to hold the power, stop power settings from kicking in, then that could be a use where maybe you click that on. I'm sure there are legitimate reasons that I'm not running into and that maybe we don't know about. And
I can give you one.
I totally agree with that, and I need it for my phone.
Why would the computer go to sleep if it shouldn't? My computer just won't go to sleep automatically, and if it
keeps your
should be going
screen
to
on
sleep because I'm
too.
leaving.
It's not just going to sleep;
Oh,
it keeps
okay.
your screen on. Yeah, it stops your
a
screen.
a good example for me is like if we're doing a distro challenge, and maybe if I put it on my main system, I'm doing some video editing all of a sudden, and I'm watching things back, and then the screen goes out, right? And I'm probably on a desktop environment that I haven't got around to adjusting settings. If caffeine is there, you just click on it and it sorts it all out straight away. You don't have to go messing around through the system settings to find what you need to turn on and off. Caffeine just does it for you, and it just sorts it out straight away.
Right, it's a utility, right? It's a very single purpose utility that does that one thing. So that's a very good point, Colin. Absolutely.
For me, one of the first things I do when I'm setting up a distro is adjust those settings. I'll put the screensaver on for an hour because if I get up and walk away, I don't want this thing sitting here burning. And after 2 hours, if I'm gone, I'll actually have it turn the monitor off. But I have yet to have any interruptions with anything I'm doing. And I watch a ton of videos or sitting what appears to be idle, processing of something, and I haven't had it turn off yet by doing that. So, and I do know that, like, especially for laptops, that would probably be the other exception, is if it seems like on laptops, the settings are a little more aggressive because of the battery saving and things like that.
All right, so that is going to round it up for those three things for the app for Ubuntu, the 21 must-have apps. We will continue on next week. We only seem to be able to get a couple in each week, but that's okay. We're going to continue on with it. But I did want to mention, Jimmy, you are here, sir. Welcome to Biddle. You haven't said anything, brother.
Hey, Rocco, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I've been wanting to do this for a really long time and never had the right time. And I joined earlier, Zoom dropped, and I had to go run get my kid up from the neighborhood. It was getting dark. So I thought, okay, I'll at least join for the last few minutes.
Well, it's good to have you on, brother. Don't be shy. Jump in on these guys because they like to jump in on. So
Yeah. I like caffeine, both the real literal caffeine and the app too. But I kind of agree with Computer Kid a little bit. It seems to be some of the applications need to utilize the features, ACPI calls or whatever it is, in a better way sometimes. When the app decides it needs to keep the screen awake or not suspend the computer, it needs to do it properly. But caffeine's a great utility, single purpose, focus, works great. I use it a lot.
well, I think it's funny because it's not, it's a small app. It only does one thing, but it does it really good. So it's
That's
like,
right.
it's a pretty awesome app. It should be all day.
Yeah. That's one of the first things I install. I mean, lately I've been going back to GNOME, and it's a handy utility there. So.
Yep. Jinda, you haven't said anything all night either, brother. Come on now. We didn't talk about a distro tonight, but we talked about all kinds of stuff. So what do you think about anything?
I'm not much of a Discord guy, so I like the caffeine. I've used that before, but at first when you said caffeine, I was thinking of the KDE program Caffeine, which I've used a lot over the years, which is a player, a music player, video player.
Yep.
Yeah. I did point out the one guy was trying to learn stuff. I put it in the chat. I learned a lot playing with my Raspberry Pi, like, how to do, SSH and, all kinds of silly little things like that you learn how to do. To me, I think somebody said you have to learn hands-on, and I kind of agree with them. But those to me were simplistic topics, and I don't know. It's just one of those nights. I guess I should have maybe spoke up or picked on Tom or something.
Well, we can always pick on Thomas. That's always a fun topic.
Yeah, I know. It seems like that's always a fun topic.
All right, Dan. Dan Simmons, you have one more topic you want to bring up before we end this.
I do. So there's a couple new Ryzen laptops on the streets these days. I don't know if people have been noticing that, but there's the Tuxedo machine that's kind of new, and also the KDE Slimbook. And both of those look really nice. I don't know. It's got me thinking maybe I want a new laptop. I don't know.
Well, I'm with you, Dan.
Yeah.
Nate, I am surprised at you that you would want a new laptop. You seem to be the type of guy that would restore an old one.
And that is the case, typically speaking. Like I never want anything new, and I'm never excited about anything new. And typically when I see something that's new, I'm quite the opposite of interested. I'm disinterested. However, I saw this article, and I clicked on this link to take me to Tuxedo Computers. And I thought I was actually so excited about it because they don't actually consume that much power really. And I had thought about getting a newer machine, but it's always been like a 10 to 15% speed increase for what I have, and then just better on power. But this new Ryzen 7, it's like 6 times the processing power of what I have now, and doesn't use much more power. I'm really intrigued in that. And I don't know what the GPU. I don't know the Vega 7. I don't know how good the Vega 7 GPU is. That's an Adam Grubbs question. I was going to say Adam West, but no, Adam Grubbs. And he might have something to say about that. But it can't be any slower than the Radeon GPU that I'm using in my current machine, which is about 4 years old, something like that. So yeah, I'm pretty darn excited. It's also not that expensive either. I mean, it's like 1,200 euros for what I configured for me. So that's not, get a little conversion there. Not too much more in dollars really today. But yeah, I think it's pretty compelling. And if you buy it from Tuxedo Computers, you can have it pre-installed with OpenSUSE, and so bam,
wow,
that's another winner.
That's a plus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so That was all it took. I mean, I'm going to put Tumbleweed on it, but nonetheless, they do have for the display link. They maintain packages on the Open Build service, so you can plug in those universal docks that use the display link to output. However I don't know how those things work. I'm still trying to understand it, but they maintain those packages, so you can use the universal docks that they have with USB-C and do all the fun whiz-bangitry. So yeah, I'm real close to. I think I'll let Santa buy it for me. I gotta delay I have to delay gratification on that one. I think I have to let Santa buy it.
Well,
Yeah,
I think.
Build it.
Go
Whatever.
ahead, Dan.
I think it's really neat, and I'll just say we talked a little bit about computer hardware on episode 1 of Linux User Space. Check that out if you haven't. And I think it's amazing all of the different options you have. Until we put it down on paper, I had no idea that there was that many, and I love to see the progress being made there.
Yep. Well, I'd like to see it there because to give everybody options, because I know it's a big thing that a lot of people want AMD laptops. But I mean, I got to be honest with you, myself personally, I'm not I could do either one of them. So it's not like something that I've been looking for personally, but I do think it's a great thing for everybody else in Linux that has been looking for them. Eric, what do you think?
I honestly have been waiting for an AMD option. I mean, when I went shopping for this laptop, you had 2 configurations. You either had very low end AMD stuff that really just wasn't going to perform the way I needed it to, or you had insane gaming laptops that were 10 pounds, 12 pounds. So to see more mainstream form factors and more of like productivity machines that are slightly more capable, I've been waiting for this, and I think that we're going to start seeing more of it. I'm glad to see that someone's on the vanguard and getting them out there so that we can get them in the wild and see how people, what their experience is. The fact that they're running Linux is obviously even better. So I just have to believe that we're going to start to see. I just feel like AMD has just been tearing it up on every front, and laptops are sort of the last vestige in a lot of ways that Intel has dominance. And I think as the AMD does better with their platform, if you can have an AMD system that has the processor and the dedicated GPU and everything just works with Linux. I mean, Adam's experience with his graphics card, the idea that he didn't have to do all that NVIDIA stuff to get it to work.
Yep.
I have not yet experienced that, and I'm actually looking forward to what is that like to just literally turn it on and have it work.
Daniel, go ahead.
Okay, so just 2 quick bullet points. 1, any computer that you can get with a Klingon keyboard sounds pretty cool to me. 2, both System 76 and Tuxedo actually got spotlighted on Short Circuit, which is the sister channel of Linus Tech Tips.
Yep. But let me ask you a question, Daniel, about that. I watched the video of Anthony doing the video on the Oryx Pro, I think it was, or the Lemur. What was it, Lemur or Oryx?
It was
Pro?
the Oryx.
Okay, so I was kind of disappointed in it. Maybe I think it was. I mean, it was nice that it was there, and it was nice that he was covering the Oryx Pro, but it was almost like he was covering it in a way of, it's really weird and cool, instead of this is a really good laptop. You know what I mean?
Well, it's, if you look at the other stuff that LTT promotes, the Oryx Pro is really good, but it's not hardware wise, it's not the best laptop you can go for. And to be honest, he almost came off as a little apologetic or something, oh, this even got on this channel.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It wasn't
and
this.
How they've marketed all the Linux stuff since they actually started doing it is, this is weird.
Yeah.
I mean, yes and no. I mean, I think they've done, some of it has been a little clickbaity. The Linux gaming is better than Windows, that kind of stuff. But they actually do show going through it. I wish Linus himself wasn't such an idiot and made it look so clunky, because he, I think, does it a disservice by being such. I mean, I know he's playing the fool, like that's his whole character and all that stuff, but like he makes it look more difficult than it is in some cases.
Well,
But,
I mean, I
you know.
was cringing a little bit when Anthony couldn't get Steam to launch
Right.
properly.
Yeah,
I was
I
like,
know.
ooh, that didn't do us any favors.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, Linus, he was like, well, I put wingdings on this thing.
Well,
and
that was another one. You know, like we had this video about this Linux laptop, and the big thing is you can go through and he made it all weird with the wingdings thing instead of just saying, "Hey, man, this is a really cool Linux laptop."
Well, okay, but I don't think it would have been out there without a weird keyboard. I don't think it would have been out there enough to make it on their docket.
Let's say that it. I'm going to be fair here.
Weird.
It is weird. I'm just going to be fair and say that he is. I feel like they're trying to bridge that gap between the ultra enthusiast PC, which is, I mean, I think that's their hardcore audience, right? And to Daniel's point, like, if it isn't the newest, most powerful, cutting edge thing, then it's probably not going to get, or like something super popular mainstream, like they will do the next XPS, the next, that kind of like review cycle. But I feel like they're trying to kind of bridge that gap a little bit. And yes, sometimes it doesn't come off very well, but I do respect them for at least covering it. And I think there's so much awareness now compared to what there was even just a year ago. It's pretty impressive to see. So,
well, we're going to get to two people real quick here. Joe, you and Vince will round it out. So go ahead, Joe.
Okay, the one thing I just wanted to point out, don't be confused when you see the new Ryzen 4000 series that was just announced. That is still the previous generation or Gen 2. So if you look at, like, let's say their what is it, 4200G or 44, whatever that number is, I think that's still technically the 3200G architecture. What I understand about those processors, and specifically like when you're talking laptops too, is those are going to be OEMs. So it's not going to be something right now that you can buy off the shelf. But the hope for the next AMD release will be the actual Gen 3 processors. So I just want to make sure that people aren't confused with that, because a lot of people already have been talking, and 4000 are out, and they don't realize. And I don't know why they do that. That's the one thing about AMD. Intel did that too, is they don't keep their SKUs consistent. They jumble them up sometimes, and it's just like having a B450 or B460, which I think is one of the things that Linus talked about, and you're referencing him. And he actually did a video, which I can't remember exactly what the whole crux of it was recently, but he did build a really mega system, and he actually used Fedora on a live boot, I think, if I remember right, to get it going. And there were things he was able to do on there in Linux that was not able to be done on the Windows side, and vice versa. So he's been supporting it more and more, as far as I'm concerned, even if it's, got its quirks about it. But that's Linus, like you said, Eric, in itself, on how he does it.
There was a PC build-off where it was Anthony versus Linus, where it was like a race. They had to build the PC the fastest and then install some game and get through like the first level or something. And Anthony actually did use Linux on that one. Unfortunately, there was a crash, but it was really close. And he actually, they actually talked about, like, Linus was like, "Wow, that was like, great move. Like, you actually like cut so much time off of the installation and everything."
All right, Vince, you are going to round this up. Go ahead.
So, just on the Linus Tech Tips thing, I see that channel as more entertaining rather than educational or informing. But is this a situation where we can say that sort of any coverage in the mainstream is better than none at all? I don't know, because they're portraying it as Linux as being weird, but in reality, we are weird, aren't we? Us Linux users?
I mean, okay, so Vince, when I say weird, I don't mean, we all are weird. Yeah, I'm weird too, but I'm looking for the perfect world, the perfect scenario. Cover Linux. You got a channel that has the amount of subscribers that Linus does, and it's like couldn't you just cover it as a regular thing?
His audience, I mean, if you look at who his audience are, they're mostly going to be gamers and probably younger people who have grown up in a Windows and a macOS and iOS Android world. So things with the Linux desktop, it's not. I mean, us old DOS users, old Windows 3.11 users, kind of get where the Linux desktop has come from, and even old Unix users as well. But these guys, his audience aren't sort of that sort of target, I think.
Yep. All right, Dan, why didn't you bring this topic up earlier when we had more time?
I don't know.
Okay, all right.
I'll try harder.
We are way over time, but everybody gets the last word. Dan Simmons.
Thanks as always, Rocco. It's great to be here. This was probably one of the top 10 Biddle episodes I think I've been a part of, and we had some excellent conversation, all without a distro challenge.
Can
I'll
you
just
imagine that?
I know. So thank you,
Eric.
Yeah, this was fun. I like the loose format. Someone asked earlier, "What's the topic?" and it was like, "We're just sort of making it up as we go." and I think it worked out pretty well. I mean, we had the app thing and whatever, but this is good. This felt very much like a, hey, let's just talk about Linux. So, which is why I'm here, and I'm happy to have seen everybody this week. Have a great week. Hopefully, see you next week.
Thomas.
Well, thank you for having me on again this week. I have two things really quickly. I'll try to keep it low latency. My first thing is I discovered an app this week that I'm not sure if anybody else knows about this. It's called GNOME Firmware, and it's a way to update firmware for components of your PC. And for my computer specifically, it detects at least that it can update the firmware for both the SSDs in my computer, my UEFI, and the little Logitech USB receiver thing. And it actually did update this successfully. So if you want to possibly update firmware for stuff and you don't know how to do it an easy way, check that out. If you're on a Debian-based distro, it's just sudo apt gnome-firmware. My second thing is DruggerOS has finally hit its final beta. Thank you. 2 more months, and we are going stable with version 7.5.1. Finally.
Awesome. Dave Jones, last word.
Thanks, Rocco. It's a great conversation tonight. I didn't have a lot to say, but I really enjoyed what everyone was talking about. I did want to say a little bit with the Telegram. I tried to like Telegram, but I have to be honest, I really find it very overwhelming when I load it up and I see all those thousands of unread messages.
Me too.
I can't see it. I can't imagine how Dan goes through those, because I'm like you. I see them like I can't do it, and I just click read and get it over with.
It's actually a job just to clear all of them to being read.
Yes.
So
I might skim a little bit. I get through it.
All right, DJ, last word.
Great talk the night. Enjoyed it. I have a quote for you as always. This is a quote from Dennis Ritchie. The only way to learn something new, jump in and do it.
Very nice. Dan Kelly.
Well, first of all, now I know what caffeine is. Thanks for the little go around with that. I've heard a lot about it, but nobody really explained what it did when I heard it. So now I know. Rocco, thanks for the show as usual, and thank your helpers as usual for making the show possible. It's been a really good free-flowing discussion night, and everybody take care.
I did want to put in Kevin in chat mentioned that you can do caffeine on an app per app basis. You can do that on the app, not on the extension. So just as a clarifying note. Farron, last word.
Well, I have 4 things to go through real quick. So, firstly, as a weather person once said, beware of the keyboard that speaks in hands. Secondly, on Wednesday, July the 29th, watch my YouTube channel on the FernOS website. 5 years of FernOS. Anyway, cheers, peeps. Can't wait for this major milestone and double-click Superior.
Congrats on the anniversary, Farron. That's awesome. You do some great work, man.
Even if you are wrong about double click. Big Pod, last word.
No, you. Okay.
Thank you, and check out my YouTube channel, Big Pod.
You got a link for that channel, Big Pod? We can put it in the YouTube chat.
Yeah, I could put that.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to find the wrong Big Pod.
Yeah. Joshua, last word.
Thanks for hosting the show. It was definitely fun, and maybe I'll come back next week. I don't know, but yeah. See you all later, and have a great weekend.
All right, Tony, last word.
I can't say anything because there was no distro challenge. No, it is good to have a break from that, and also without the distro hopping, it's quite nice. I've got time to go outside, and I now know what outside looks like.
I was going to say outside, dude.
You could say you haven't installed it.
No, I said that last week. I don't want to say the same thing every week. I'll sound like a robot. But
well, don't you do that with installed it every week? To be fair, though.
All right, moving on.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, thanks for a great show, Rocker. Glad to hear that you're almost 100% again. Look forward to next week. Great to see everybody, and I look forward to seeing everybody again next week. So take care till then.
Jason, last word.
Well, again, thank you for everybody for that helps put the show on. Rocco, Dan, and team. It's been great to just come in here and talk about technology. Linux apps, and meet new people with the gentleman that was here earlier. So now I have another YouTube channel to go check out some videos and see what I can learn from that gentleman. And it was just great to be able to sit here and have great discussions with you all.
Colin.
Thanks, Rock and Co, for the platform. It's great discussions tonight. Looking forward to dealing with Blender issues again this week. Hopefully all settles down. And congratulations, Farron, on your 5th birthday. I might have to go and have a look what you're doing over there again. So congratulations on that.
Boy.
Everyone have a great week and stay safe.
Jinder, last word.
Thanks for having me, everybody. Congratulations on your 5th birthday, Farron. And Rocco, I'm glad you're feeling 100%. Well, close enough to it. All right, everybody. I'll see you hopefully next week.
Aris.
Thank you for the stream, Rock and Co. And see you next week. Oh, and a tip for using Telegram. Always remember skimming as your friend.
Joe.
Thanks again, Rocco. As always, it's been how many shows, and I definitely appreciate being able to come on here when we have the time now. Same things to Dan and Eric. You guys did a great job. One thing, that crossed my mind, you were talking about these apps. It might not be a bad thing to explore down the road. I don't know, maybe I missed it talking about it, but there's so many new things that I've been coming across. I mean, I look at the list of stuff I load up on here just to have it on here, to think that I'm going to get to it someday. There's so many wonderful, applications out there. That's something that you could probably fill a lot of slots with and talk about. And it wouldn't be a bad idea, other than, I mean, more than the obvious ones, because it'd be a way of, I think, people learning, through this, and specifically that gentleman from earlier. And then to quote a wise man, one of our community members, Mr. DT, Linux does have to hurt a little bit, and that's the way you learn. So anyway, but thanks a lot, guys. Everybody stay healthy and safe.
Vince.
So I think if you don't have Telegram constantly open, even when you're asleep, then you're doing Telegram wrong. That's how you overcome the issues. Yeah, thanks, Rocco. Thanks, Dan and Eric and everyone behind the scenes. Love you all.
All right, Nate.
apparently I've been telegramming wrong because I like to see how many unread messages I can have and see how big that number can get on the notification icon. So
yeah,
I have to do something different. But hey, thanks for having me. It's been fun. See you next week.
Steve's very own. Steve,
All right.
how long you been doing this, dude? You know, you can't find a mute button.
I
or
took a
what?
break off. What can I say? Thanks, Rocco. And one thing to say about Telegram, it works great with Android Auto. I got my message from Eric last night while I was taking my son out for some ice cream. So that's pretty cool when you get a direct message. Everybody, you take care, and we'll see you in the morning, maybe.
If you don't go check out Steve's live stream tomorrow morning, you're doing it wrong. So what
Thanks,
time,
Rocco.
Steve? What time?
8 a.m. Central.
All right. We will put a link.
Bill.
We will put a link in that for tomorrow.
Thank you, sir. Everybody,
Steve,
take care.
Steve Mo West, go ahead.
Thanks, Rocco, for hosting this and all the co-hosts as well. This really felt like a lug tonight with the open topic. So fantastic job, everybody. It was great to be here. And just wanted to encourage, I love IRC. So Dan Simmons, stop reading all those messages and start putting some more meat into the IRC, and then I'll spend more time in IRC with you.
I'll see what I can do.
Daniel.
Thanks for Rocco and Dan and Eric and everyone who puts this on. This was a great virtual lug experience. I didn't know about Steve's streams before today, but I'll try and be there tomorrow.
Tyler?
Well, there we go. So, heard something about Android Auto. I just got a brand new car this last week, and I've fallen in love with Android Auto.
What did you get,
That
dude?
is amazing. 2020 Kia Forte.
Nice.
Yep.
Very nice. All right, Kai?
Yeah, I am glad to be back. I hope to be back every week from now on, hopefully. And I don't think I told Thomas this yet, but I hope to get my LibreDux podcast back up and going now that my life's starting to settle down again.
Very nice. Bill?
So we're going to do the summer of Festivus and have some airing of the grievances. First, the grievance is to Eric. Thank you for showing up for a full episode. You've been very missed. Very missed. A couple quick things. Thomas and Farron, congratulations. It's an awesome thing for you both to have ongoing operating distros, and celebrating them. It's great, and I'm very proud of you all. Steve, I've got one of your pull requests done, and it's merged into Mate. One is still waiting, so sometimes it takes some time. Thank you, Rocco, and I'm glad you're feeling better. And I've aired all my grievances.
Thanks,
Thank
Bill,
you.
for all your work on Mate.
Yep. Thank you, Bill. Computer Kid, go ahead.
Hi, I have wireless headphones now, so I can't knock them out when you surprise me. I love IRC, and thank you guys for doing this. It was a really fun virtual lug, and I hope I can make it next week.
All right. That is going to wrap it up for us here. I want to thank my cohorts in crime, Dan, Eric, I appreciate your help. Nate and Bill, thank you very much. We are not going to try another distro next week. We're going to do the same thing over again, have a free format, and talk about some Linux topics, talk about some apps, and we'll go from there. We'll see how it goes.
Free format, very Linux.
So, all right, that's going to be it. Until next week.
One more thing, Rocco.
What, Dan? What did I forget?
What happens on Monday?
Wait, no lie. We have a new Linux user space coming out on Monday. It was recorded last Monday, edited this week, and it is scheduled and ready to go for Monday at 6 a.m. So there you go. Get ready for that. I think you'll enjoy it. Right.
Just downloaded it.
Did I get everything, Dan?
I think you got it now.
Okay.
Now we can close for business.
All right.
Yep.
We will see you all next week. But until then, long live Linux.
Good night, everybody.
See ya.
Good night, everybody.
Stay
Take
hype.
care.
Let's
Bye.
go.
All of our friendly
Ciao.
fans.
Yeah, bye.
Collins'
Keep it
new
wait and see.
chair.
There goes the